Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Expansion Pack podcast, where we download this week's gaming news and we bring it to you. I'm your host, Danzel, aka Black Ice, joined by my co-host each and every week, starting off with Manny, aka the Goop Master Flex. What's going on, boy?
You already know, stay gooping.
Stay gooping, as always. And of course, we also got the man himself, Chris, aka May 25th. How you doing, bro?
Stay May 25th in.
Still trying to
respect him.
Okay, all right, cool.
I gave it like 2 weeks break. Nah.
We make it happen for you. You know what?
We'll make it happen.
That was good. You stay May 25th, and that's something that only you can do. Only you. Yeah? Okay. All right, boys. So how's it going, guys? We're 2 weeks out from E3. Haven't had too much gaming news because the industry just kind of dumped it all at E3. It's going to be quiet for a couple weeks, but we do have a couple stories to talk about for sure. But before we get into the stories, let's talk about our gaming moments of the week. So I'm going to start off with Chris this time around.
Gaming moment of the week for me. I've been playing a lot of Fallout. And I think last week I told you guys I'm almost close to getting in my power armor. Now I'm in my power armor, and it's making the game a shit ton easier. So I think I finally have reached a little bit of a threshold and gone over it. So yeah, I'm having a better experience now. So
But
okay, all right,
I respect it.
Powering through it. All right, I just definitely respect that too. All right,
beat it.
Manny, what's your moment of the week, bro?
It's a simple one. I won't give out too much, you know what I'm saying, because I don't want to spoil the new Ratchet and Clank, but finally got to beat it, of course. The game, I enjoyed it a lot, it was a really good game. I really liked, the fact that they're just bringing out all these features with the new console, with the new levels and going through the reverse and everything like that. So I really enjoyed it. It was a really good experience. If you have a PS5, I would recommend picking it up, especially since there's really barely any PS5 games. So yeah, that's my moment of the week.
Okay, word. Well, my moment of the week is gonna lightly roll into your gaming moment of the week. I haven't really gotten a chance to play too many games, but I've mentioned before my ongoing saga with the PlayStation 5 controller having some issues and whatnot. So I finally got this bad boy right here. Absolutely beautiful. Got it yesterday. So hopefully I'll be able to finish up Ratchet and Clank now that I got this one here. I'm enjoying the game so far. I don't know if I'm as enamored by it as everyone else is. I do think it's an amazing game. But I don't know if it's a 10, the way a lot of people were talking about, throwing it in game of the year conversations. I don't know if I'll throw it in there yet, but I am really enjoying the game. So hopefully I can finish it this week and I'll report back to you guys next week.
Word.
All right. So next thing, the moment of the week. Outside of our gaming moment of the week, it's the moment that everybody loves on the podcast here. It's Chris's icebreakers. Chris, talk to him, bro.
Well, it's getting a little chilly in the building, y'all. But today we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Ask a funny question, I guess you could say. Let me find my little pick. Gotta look for it. Hold up now. Dang. Jeez Louise. That was a good one. The question of the week has to be, why are people so unashamed to be, I don't know if weird is the right word. Maybe that's not the right word, but weird or trolly or have all the bravado in the world. All this. Why are they so quick to do what they do online that they would not do in real life? That's the question. I feel like we've all encountered at least one or two or three people, or maybe even more online that you just look at them like what the fuck? Or they'll say something, or they'll message you something, or they'll just be on, or you'll even be in a lobby, because I see this a lot too. This is part of some of the toxic stuff I think that kind of goes on in gaming sometimes. Some of these lobbies are wild. Like, just why? Especially COD. Oh boy.
Shout out to the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies.
Bruh, they're crazy. So, what do you think is your reasoning for why people are like this? And then give me an example of what you just, a weird encounter that you might have had. I think on surface level, it's pretty obvious why some people do it, but it's kind of cool to hear why people interpret it the way they do. So,
start off, man.
I mean, I can explain to you why, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you need an example, I'm the example. But, I mean, so, like, it's different because, like, being in a public environment, obviously not everybody's going to be, their, like, true self or whatever. They're going to act civilized, but like when you sit back behind the monitor, got your Xbox, your PlayStation, or your PC keyboard and mouse controls, you know what I'm saying? All you need is a microphone, some boys to be with, and you good. I think it's just like, like just people being themselves, truly, honestly. Like, I understand, like, like sometimes it can be weird, but like it's just them being themselves. Like, me with my little hiya and everything like that. So I gotta show for my weirdos out there. Or you know what? I'm not gonna say weirdos. We unique. That's the word Chris should use, because we unique people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We keep real.
We unique.
So you got an example, Manny, of the I was gonna say, is it just you?
I'm sure you all these free episodes of the podcast.
Oh man, I cannot, bro.
Nah, I mean, like I said, it's just like, like online and everything like that. It's just, it's a place where people can relax and be themselves. Okay. Now, being themselves a little too much might be a little weird, but
yeah, a little too much.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. I'll say, I mean, if you're done with your answer, I'll go next. I would say it's like I would explain it a couple different ways, right? So if you're talking about it in the space of what you're mentioning, where you're just like having fun, you relax, you kick back, and you're just like, you make your weird sounds and you be funny or whatever, then yeah, it's really just a place where you're more relaxed. But I guess the way I interpreted Chris's question too is like, that's like from the toxic side of things, like people acting weird or strange or whatever. I think it just really just boils down to anonymity, right? You're playing online, not with your boys, but like, you're playing against a random stranger online. Something happens, whatever. And you're just being super toxic, messaging them all types of stuff. Like, we've all seen it. We've all heard all the different things that are said in lobbies and whatever, what have you. I think it's just the matter of there's anonymity there. You don't know that person. There's essentially no consequences for you being weird or toxic or racist or sexist or, whatever it may be. There's usually no consequences to it. So that's why a lot of people do that. For example, this week, this wasn't that bad, but I was playing a game in particular, and it was a beta of a game that I guess I can't talk about. So without getting into too much details on it, it being a beta of a game, it's prone to having issues, right? Prone to crashing, prone to this, prone to that. So this particular person did something against me. I pressed start to try to change up some settings that I had, and the game crashed. And so the guy messages me, haha, that's what you get for trying to cheese the game. What? I'm like, what do you mean trying to cheese the game? I'm like, he wasn't even beating me in this thing. Like, he just had a moment where he happened to get the upper hand in the situation. So he wasn't beating me yet. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it from my perspective on the game, it said that he quit, right? But I knew, obviously this is a beta, like chances are he didn't quit. The game just broke. So I was like, well, from where I'm standing, it says you quit. And he's like, oh, well, I did this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden, you press start and it seemed like you quit. And I'm like, I didn't. And he just kind of kept going on and like trying to bag on me. I'm just like, hey, this is a beta of a game that like holds no consequences. Like, why are you talking trash to me, bro? I'll leave it at that, because I feel like if I say any more, I'm going to spoil or give away what it is that I was playing, and that'll get me in trouble. But
so you're saying he was a sussy baka?
He was a sussy baka, absolutely. And I feel like people like that are just miserable. He was just a miserable human.
Miserable.
That's all he was. He's just a miserable guy. And he knew that I wasn't going to ever see him in real life, and I don't know his name or any of that type of stuff, so he felt empowered to say whatever the heck it is that he wanted to say to me. And I think that's often why people are like that online, because they're behind a screen as opposed to talking to me face to face. So,
well, I got to go into story time, y'all. Okay. As I told y'all earlier, I ain't that long of a story. Playing Fallout. And the one thing that's kind of cool about Fallout that I have been noticing is if you go up to people who are excuse me, higher level than you, oftentimes they'll drop items for you on the ground for you to pick up because they know that you're like on your way up, right? So it's pretty cool. So I met this one dude yesterday while I was playing, and he had mad shit. He had already beat the game. He said, "Hey bro, look at this." He pulls out all his power armors. He's got like 8 different suits of power armor and shit. And I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's truth. God damn. Shit. So like, and he's being super helpful. Right. So I'm like, all right, this dude is mad cool. And we're in this town. There's mad workshops and stuff everywhere. And he's literally finding materials, going to the benches, building shit for me, and then dropping it. And I'm like, yo, why is this dude being so fucking nice? This shit is crazy. But I'm like, so he messages me on Xbox and we start talking that way. And I'm like, yeah, bro, thanks for all this because I didn't have none of this shit. I needed all the help. Da, 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 da. He's like, yeah, no problem, man. I'll make you an armor when you get to the right level. And he just sounds like a cool dude. We're just shooting the shit, Then he drops me another gun and I pick it up and I'm like, all right, bro, this is really crazy. I don't know how you keep doing this, but thank you. And he goes, okay, I don't even know how I should say this in a PG way. How do I say this? He basically, and he probably was joking or maybe he wasn't joking, but then he goes, no problem. Now, he gives me a directive. You guys follow me? Kind of? You follow me?
You follow me? You're a chick because your name's May?
We had already confirmed that I'm not no chick.
Okay,
so it's,
got it.
Right? So he gives me a directive, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, bro? Are you? So you giving me all this shit because you gonna say this shit to me after? Like, well, yeah. And I was like, well, this took a turn that I didn't expect.
My boy Chris catfishing now.
Yeah, but I'm just like, what? This was fun until it wasn't, man. I'm good. And then he goes, oh, no, I'm just joking, man. The fuck? You're a boy. And I'm just like, wait, what the whole fuck is happening right now? So then I had to I just dipped. I was like, I don't need this man's help anymore.
You said, come here, little boy.
And that's what made me say to myself, I said, hey, yo, he was cool for like a whole hour. I don't get it. He was fine. We were chilling, talking. It sounded like two gamers just shitting and just chilling. And this man just out of nowhere you want to talk about shooting a shot. I don't want to say what he said. All I'm saying is he gave me a directive and I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, nah. And the way this came off was like, well, I gave you those weapons and shit, so,
It sounds very Jason.
Sorry.
Damn.
Like at the bar, buying drinks or whatever.
Okay.
Damn, I was like, yo, this is weird as fuck. Oh, man. Yeah, no. So that's why I was like, why people be doing this shit? Like, why? Yo, what made you say to yourself, yeah.
Why do you think it is, though? Why do you think the reasoning behind it is?
I don't even know. There's a lot that it could be. I don't know. I mean, I'm also the guy that gets a shit ton of wild text messages that nobody else seems to get. Like, I'm the one who's gotten, like, people trying to hypnotize me for stuff in this nature. Like, I'm telling you, no bullshit, guys. People be trying me, bro. I don't get what all over. But the gaming shit, I just had to ask because I've seen it in so many different facets, bro. I don't know why. I don't understand why I attract this energy. I don't know. It's weird.
Soul searching on that one, bro. That's weird.
Fucking weird, man.
Didn't you like?
Weird.
Well, I'm not gonna say.
Attracted some weird stuff. Okay.
Like from like just this weird people.
Because I remember that one time from like, we'll just say like the Twitch thing that happened that one time where we were playing Outriders.
Oh. Wait, are you talking about when that girl hopped on my thing? Yeah, man. Just weird shit. I'm just like, but that wasn't as weird as this though. Like I could like accept that other shit. That was fine.
I still think that was still weird, but yeah,
it was weird. It was weird, but not as weird as you fucking talking to some dude.
Definitely not.
Yo, I gave you those guns, so.
Oh man.
Oh no, man. Shit was on some other shit here, but.
Oh man,
that's why I just felt like I wanted to talk about it. You know, if that's what you're into and all that stuff, that's cool. But don't be trying to extort me with your video game weapons. Didn't even buy me a McChicken. How rude. Oh man. Anyways, that's my icebreaker.
Okay.
What a way to break the ice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to break the ice to you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
Hey, you got a pretty mouth, boy.
You better hope he don't know the podcast. You know, he gonna be like, he's gonna be set watching the podcast. And he's gonna be like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he like, oh no, it's like that's me.
Oh God. Okay.
Daddy, I cannot.
Oh, we gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, switching gears, guys. Oh, whoo. Chris, thank you for that icebreaker. That was hilarious.
Oh my God.
So yeah, let's get into the stories for the week, guys. We're starting off with a pretty big one. I think it was something that popped up, I want to say 2 weeks ago, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it in our recap episode. But apparently there's some really loud, big rumors that EA might be reviving a franchise that I know each one of us has talked about at some point or another, and that's Dead Space. Apparently, EA Massive, who is it? No, not Massive. Motive, sorry. Getting my studios mixed up. EA Motive, the people who were built to make the Star Wars Squadrons game, it looks like EA is tapping them to basically reimagine Dead Space. So it won't be a sequel or anything. It won't be Dead Space 4. It'll be a complete reimagining of the franchise. And it looks like they may even give them their own chance to make an entire sequel, depending on how things shake up. This rumor actually started with Jeff Grubb announcing that Motive was going to actually be making or bringing back a new IP. And I guess the internet kind of followed the breadcrumbs to lead them towards Dead Space. So with that being said, I'm super excited about this news, but I want to hear what you guys have to think or say about it. So, Manny, I'll start off with you, man. You excited about this?
Hey, man. I haven't played Dead Space in a long time, so yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. But, you know, like the only thing is like if it's a reimagine, like, do you think it'll be like, you know how like horror games nowadays are taking a turn from like for example, Resident Evil, they used to be third-person shooters like Dead Space was, and now they're like first-person, kind of like up close and personal. Do you think like Dead Space will be something like that, since it is going to be like a new, like reimaginative of like what Dead Space is? I think.
I hope so.
you think so? You would like that?
Games are scary that way, in my opinion.
It is. That's true. I would be excited for that too. Like whatever they come up with, because Dead Space is was a good franchise when they came out with the games. But so like I would like to see that actually. Just like, all right, this is Dead Space. You just in the spaceship or whatever, first person. Everything's all up on your face. So like if I'm excited. Hopefully they will show maybe give us something on July 22nd.
Yeah. You just
open the dimensions.
Open up some thoughts in that first person thing. But Chris, what do you think about this one?
I think it's pretty big, man. Dead Space is a very, very popular franchise, and I don't think we have enough of the horror stuff, especially not the sci-fi horror stuff. And I always think about that game got 3 games back in the day, but even within that, I still kind of feel like it was a little ahead of its time. A lot of the sci-fi stuff from back then, I feel like it just came out in the wrong time. And that's Dead Space, that's Lost Planet, that's a lot of those kind of games I feel like would have done better today than back then. With that being said, if it's not a remaster, but like a reimagining of it, I think they have an opportunity to really revive it and really do something cool with it. I just hope it's not like on some DMC shit, you know, like how they did Devil May Cry, and then they were like, "Oh, we're doing DMC," and then DMC was like, "Right," but you kind of lost what Devil May Cry was. So, yeah, I just hope that they do it in the right way, I guess you could say. But I think it definitely could fill a void, because like even with the Scorn game that's coming out, and that looks like a sci-fi horror-ish kind of game. I wouldn't say it looks like Dead Space though. Dead Space is like, it's the closest thing I could think of to like a Resident Evil version of something in space. That's the closest thing I could think of. Scorn reminds me more of like Alien or that movie Prometheus or whatever the case is. Not like this. It's kind of different. So yeah, I think it definitely has a space that it can fill, especially if they can figure out how to add some like multiplayer components and whatnot to it. I think, yeah, I think it'll be really cool.
What do you think about the first person thing Manny was talking about?
Oh yeah, I'm here for that. I'm definitely here for that. Yeah, I agree with you completely. It definitely gives you more of an in-your-face, scary kind of feel. And with this, I think with a game like Dead Space especially, like we talk about ray tracing all the time with the new systems. This is a game where the opportunity for this kind of stuff, I think, really shines, because like you're on like a lot of like, you know, desolate, broke down, abandoned looking ships and shit like that. You got light leaks from different spots, and it can really look really cool if they do it in the right way, especially if they're trying to get the creepy vibe going. Man, I'm telling you, if they do that right, visually, game should be fire. Yeah, I think, do the first person thing. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the thing that I always remember from Dead Space is they utilized the third person stuff very well, where there was a HUD, but a lot of the stuff that you needed to know about what was going on with your player was actually on his back. I think I remember like on his spine, it kind of showed you like how much health you had. I think there was also like a thing that kind of floated, like a UI that floated over your guy's back that showed you like what ability you had, whether it was stasis or like different weapons. Like I remember the UI being like specifically tailored to it being in third person, like it just being a little bit different. So I wonder how they would handle that if it was in first person. Maybe it would just be like a watch that you kind of always saw at like while you're holding whatever gun in first person. But I would assume if they switch it to first person, that would be like one of their bigger challenges is trying to get that level of immersion back in the game, like so that users don't need a UI per se. But yeah, I can the scares and all that stuff. Yeah, it's completely different when you're in first person. Resident Evil is like the perfect example of that. You know, thinking about playing Village and all that stuff, and like obviously sound design. Oh, that's a whole nother thing too.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, sound design is, when was it? Back in 2013 is when Dead Space 3 released. Like sound design's come a long way since then. Like you got the spatial audio stuff with Dolby Atmos, stuff that Sony's doing with their spatial audio. Like in a game like Dead Space, man.
Yeah.
I remember that being like a really specific thing that they even had going in the very first Dead Space game, where you would hear weird sounds in the background, or whatever. But obviously they didn't have the same level of like audio tech. So yeah, I think that would definitely be a game that would be really well suited to all the new technical advancemit's. Like obviously the SSD, you know, like Chris, you mentioned the ray tracing stuff, like audio, all of that. It's funny, man. Like obviously this rumor is from a couple weeks ago, but like the more we are talking about it, the more ideas that come into my head that like, man, this could be a really, really big deal. I'm hoping that's what EA is going for. I mean, you know, that actually leads me to my other question is, if they're reviving an old franchise of EA's and it's not Dead Space, which hopefully that's not the case, but if it's not Dead Space, what do you guys think it might be? Any guesses at all, Manny?
Skate. No, it's not. I'm joking. We know that's confirmed. We know that's confirmed. Like I don't know, cause so many EA games. Like
a really good question.
I mean, I can't say Mirror's Edge because like Mirror's Edge came out recently. I would say like
relatively recent. Yeah, I don't feel like that's it.
Nah, like it wouldn't be it unless you're talking about Street.
I feel like it definitely can't be
I know
a sports game.
It can't.
Nah,
I mean, I mean, personally, I can't really think of like any like EA game that like. It's probably like floating over my head. I probably can't remember anything, but I mean,
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, at least when you try to match the pedigree of the studio to what games EA has, existing. Like we know Motive was that studio was created by Jade Raymond to make like a bigger Star Wars game that actually I'm pretty sure got canceled, and then they got rolled into making Battlefront and then Squadrons. So like, they're clearly set up to make more story-driven, adventure-esque games. So I feel like Dead Space makes the most sense. I just can't think of any other franchises that EA owns that aren't actively being worked on. That Motive.
Yeah.
If BioWare wasn't really taking the reins of Mass Effect, I could say maybe they might be doing Mass Effect, but I don't know. What if they?
I mean, didn't you say what you said? Motive made in Squadrons.
Yeah.
See, I mean, why wouldn't it be? Dead Space already in space with Squadrons.
What if they brought back like Army of Two or something like that?
Like, I mean,
I would actually be happy with that. I'd be really happy with that. I prefer Dead Space, but Army of Two is a really good game.
That's what I was gonna say. I really missed that game from way back.
Criminally underrated game, in my opinion. Yeah, I would say like Dead Space would be 1A, Army of Two would be 1B. That would actually, I wouldn't be mad at that. Hopefully,
I'm trying to look through the rest of their stuff. I don't really see much other stuff.
Yeah, that's. I think that's really the thing, right? Like, I'm glad you brought up the Army of Two, but that's the thing about it is like I don't think there's anything else that would make sense.
The Godfather?
No. We good, because I don't think it's a licensed game, right? Like,
Oh, so we good?
We good.
That's fucked up.
God of War, Grand Theft Auto,
Harry Potter?
I'm pretty sure WB Games is making the Harry Potter game.
They got a couple of Simpsons games.
I don't think it would be anything licensed, right? Like if it would have to be like their own IP that they made internally. So
it would be hilarious if it was Anthem. I would die.
So,
that
I was
would
actually
be
just
mad
gonna say
funny.
that.
That would be mad funny.
I was just gonna say that if they actually grabbed the mantle for Anthem, that would be interesting to say the least.
but BioWare won't be making the game, so the flight mechanics might not be the same.
I mean, they're owned by the same parent company. You have to imagine they share the engine.
It's
Crazy.
true.
That would be crazy to think about.
Also,
Wow.
they just made Squadrons, which is a flight-based game. I'm sure they could pull something off with flight.
Yeah.
Oh, could be Bard's Tale. Uh-oh.
My man's just looking up mad random EA games. Like,
Oh man, my money so far is definitely on Dead Space. I think it makes the most sense, and I think EA, for all their flaws, like I think they do understand that it's a franchise that people care about largely. Obviously, like I think the original people who made Dead Space aren't at EA anymore. I'm pretty sure I think the original was made by Visceral Studios, and I'm pretty sure EA shut them down a while ago. I think those are the people who are actually, a lot of the people who used to work at Visceral Studios are the people who are making that other game, the Callisto Protocol. That was what we saw at the Game Awards. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see, man. I'm excited. I think July 22nd is when the EA Play event is actually supposed to take place. So, we'll see then. We'll get to see a lot more.
Whoa, Shadows of the Damned.
I wonder.
Whoa.
I hope it's not that. Don't bring that back. Just focus on those two games. Army 2, Dead Space. I don't want to see anything else. But yeah, let's jump over to the next topic here. I have a good segue to this, but basically, it's about Halo. Halo's we got a pretty hefty blog post from 343, just kind of talking about the very first season of Halo Infinite, and it actually ties into Halo Reach, which is pretty cool. Like I think that's a lot of people's favorite Halo game. I can actually say that's probably one of my favorite Halo games for sure. So we got a pretty decent blowout. In addition to something that we didn't get a chance to talk about on here either, which is the multiplayer overview that they did the day after the Microsoft press conference. So, I guess let's start there with that overview. You saw a lot of different things on there, some pretty cool features. I know one in particular that caught my eye was the player AI thing, basically giving each player like their own version of Cortana, like in their heads to kind of tell them what to do and where to go, I guess, within each mission. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but it seems like they're definitely setting multiplayer up to be more, what's the word? I mean, obviously customization is a big part, but like each Spartan is their own person, and they've even teased in this blog post that, each person's Spartan will play a pretty big role in the campaign. So I'm curious what you guys think about that and what that can mean. They were pretty vague with the information, but I guess the idea of the story not only being Master Chief, but being like a Spartan that you created, really interesting ideas. So, Manny, what do you think about everything we've heard so far?
Yeah, I mean, even just like the multiplayer overview that, like you mentioned from E3, like it looks very promising. And I even like the way to kind of like doing their own like battle pass system where it's like you buy the battle pass, you own it forever. And we know how frustrating it is where you buy battle pass and like, life happens. You might not be able to play the whole battle pass throughout the whole season. Next thing you know, you spend $10 for like maybe a couple level tiers and lose out on all that. Whereas this one is like, okay, we got, the first season, Heroes of Reach. You buy that, and, let's say something happens where, like, you just can't game for, like, the next couple months, but in the next season drop, but you still have the Heroes of Reach. So, like, I really like that whole, like, system they have going on, especially, like I said, life happens. But, and also, like, the stuff they talked about in the multiplayer overview, how they're showing, like you mentioned, the AI. I really think it is dope to have like your own personal AI to have like, instead of like hearing the same voices all over again. You know what I mean? You just have that personal AI as well as the customization as well. How you mentioned, there's no loot boxes, but everything you see is mostly earned through gameplay. That's another thing that's dope as well because we hate those randomized loot boxes that.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Last thing we want to do is spend like hundreds of dollars just to get this one armor set. Like but now with Halo 2, how they mentioned like it's every little detail in the armor that's like different, you know what I'm saying? Like with the gloves, the shoulder, the elbows, the visor and everything like that. So like, very, very interesting stuff,
Yeah. And we already know, people are going to be aiming to go get that samurai helmet too. So, the idea that basically, like you said, Manny, there's no loot box for it where people aren't just rolling the dice, buying multiple loot boxes to try to get that samurai armor. It's like, okay, I need to go do A, B, C, D. I know how I can go get this armor. Once I get it, like, it's like, I love that type of stuff because it's like, it's a badge of honor, right? Like, I have to get 10,000 kills with this particular gun on this particular map, right? So now that somebody got it. Yeah, it might have been a grind, but like, it feels like an actual achievement. Like I'm walking around with this armor, people know like, oh, he actually did that. He like went to go get that. It wasn't just he happened to stumble upon it, right? Like, Chris, and I want to get your input on this too in a second, but I mean, obviously you and I both play Destiny. We know how that type of stuff goes, right? Like there's certain exotics, certain guns in particular that if you're getting killed by it in the Crucible, it's like, oh, that dude put in work to go get that. Like Mountaintop, like he put in his time to go get his mountaintop. This gun, that gun, like I remember the Cloud Strike in particular when that first came out in Destiny. Like people had to go find that in a particular mission, and it was still kind of a luck situation because it was relatively rare. But even still, you knew that person went through a really hard challenge and happened to get lucky enough to get that roll on the gun. So I'm curious what you think about that type of stuff in this Halo, Chris.
No, man, I think it's cool, man. I was gonna mention the Destiny stuff if you didn't, so it's kind of cool that you did. Those badges of honors, they matter, man. They very much matter because they give people more of a reason to play your game than just to shoot something, if you have something that you're training for at the other end of the tunnel, it motivates you to keep getting on every day rather than them trying to do stupid ploys or this and that, trying to like entice you to come in for X, Y, and Z. All you gotta do is say, no, you want to feel powerful? Okay, you can. Go get it. That's literally all it is. And that, to me, that's a good pull. That's a good good gameplay pull, especially when they like gatekeep it around certain activities. So, for example, like how you were saying, you gotta get 10,000 kills on this map with this gun. It's a lot, but I mean, shit, you pull it off, it is what it is. The only thing that I think kind of sucks though in this regard is that because Halo is saying that everything that you get in this way is cosmetic only, it's not, I don't know if you get the same satisfaction. So because Halo's guns and stuff like that seem more like, you don't really get certain weapons that are yours. It's more like you're shooting and there's a lot of stuff you can pick up off the ground or off the walls and start using that stuff in a sense. Whereas the one thing about Destiny was just like, yeah, you get killed with a Luna back in Luna's Howl, like heyday, you knew like, damn, yo, this dude got legendary rank in comp. That shit is mad hard to do. So even though it's mad annoying that he keeps killing me with his mad good ass weapon, there's a level of respect there. Like, this looks like, damn, he's shitting on me right now, but I don't have it in me to go do what he did to get that weapon, so I can't really complain like that. Like, damn, it sucks getting my ass handed to me, but shit, maybe one day I will have the gall to go into the playlist and go get it myself. But that's the loop. It works. Yeah, it works.
I think that's probably one of the things that designates Halo from being like an RPG is that, yeah, with the multiplayer stuff, everybody is on the level playing field. And I think that, it's definitely a different style of game because I think that scenario that you just outlined with the Luna, like a lot of people, that would piss a lot of people off, right? Like, so I guess it just factors into like different styles of game, right? Like I think that's why they specifically made it cosmetic only with Halo because I think they always want and if you listen to their the multiplayer overview video, they talk about the sandbox a lot. So I think they want to make sure that the sandbox is as even as it possibly can be so that any player can do any particular thing. It's just a matter of they have to go find that skill or find that gun or whatever. Like if you want to be out here with the grappling hook, you got to go find it in the world. Make sure you have it, and then you can do whatever crazy stuff it is you want. You could grab a bomb and throw it at another vehicle or go hijack a vehicle. Like, that's always been Halo's core gameplay loop is that the sandbox allows you to do whatever it is that you want, and nobody has any particular advantage over anyone else outside of skill. So I always think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm good. I'm here for all the customization shit. You know how I get when it comes to any drippy stuff. Pause. I love that stuff, man. I like looking dope, so you can whip some ass in style. Sign me up. I'm always here for that.
Yeah.
I love
it looks dope, man.
On it too, and I love the fact that it seems like they're pulling the customization stuff outside of the game. It's not just you doing it in the game. Like they showcase in the blog post that there's a Halo Waypoint app that's going to have a Halo Infinite section. And it seems like you can go on the app and like change the visor, change the color, change this, change that. Like, because I hate doing stuff like that with my controller, to be quite honest. So if I can do it in the app, like boom, 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 touch this, touch that, like do it while I'm at work or, waiting for dinner somewhere. I don't know. Like, the fact that I have that flexibility to do that outside of just being in the game, I think that stuff's really cool. And I'm loving what I'm seeing so far from Halo Infinite. Obviously, we talked about it last week, like the graphical changes alone from this from what we saw last year to this year. And, the fact that they are so transparent with everything that's going on. Like, we don't talk about it enough, I think, but every month they come out with something. They come out with some piece of information about the game, whether it's an update to the sandbox or how things are going to go with the PC, so on and so forth. They've even kind of mentioned it in this, I don't know if it's in this blog post or if it was another one, but this summer we should be seeing a beta at some point. I just love that they're like so consistent about the information that they're pushing through. And I'm hoping that, we get more for sure.
Yeah, man. It's exciting times, man. It's very exciting. I mean, we've all been itching for some new PvP stuff, like some new freshness, and this I think, will tide us over for a little bit, gentlemen. I hope so. My ass gonna be an out of cat. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. That's probably the other big thing that I remember seeing from the multiplayer overview is that Halo Academy. Like I think that's the perfect thing to pull people who are new to Halo, like Chris in particular, get them more familiar with it. Obviously, we live in a world now where the arena shooter isn't as big of a deal. You know, like all the younger kids are all about the battle royale, right? And as of right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be a battle royale in Halo just yet. So, you know, obviously, the game is free to play. They're going to have a number of people at least trying the game. So I think it's really, really smart to have that academy to help people understand the mechanics of Halo, understand the sandbox, all that stuff. Like I'm in particular really looking forward to seeing how Chris like takes to it, you know, as knowing that he's somebody who hasn't played Halo really that much in the past. Like I'm excited for him to like kind of learn about that world and like understand the multiplayer and like do all the crazy shit that comes along with it. But yeah, Chris, obviously as somebody who hasn't played Halo before, like, you know, tell me a little bit about what you're expecting from that academy.
Shit. I'm just expecting a little bit of a learning curve because from the little bit of Halo that I do remember playing in the past, it's like little shit like just even how to use a sniper. Like it's gonna be a while before I can iron that into my way of being, I guess you could say. Because I'm used to pressing down on the left trigger and aiming and all that bullshit. I'm gonna have to like really get used to the whole stick mechanic that Halo seems to kind of like do a lot of the stuff around. Other than that, though, I think once I get that down, I think I'll be fine. I just got to get used to that shit. And because so much damn Destiny is going to be one of those things where it's like, I have to really iron that out badly. It's going to take me a few weeks. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. There's going to be mad times where I'm going to want to ADS and do weird shit that I do in other games that I can't do in this. And I just got to like learn. So give me a little bit of time.
So Destiny might be the reason you get it a lot quicker for sure.
Maybe it might, yeah. Might be.
The games. All right, word. Manny, what are you thinking about that academy? Anything else in general about Halo at all you want to add?
I mean, I'm just excited. You know, hopefully I can still rocket jump. No. But I'm definitely excited for the whole grappling hook. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to be swinging around like Spider-Man.
Yes, sir.
Headshot.
Speaking to me, man. Oh man,
I have a question.
Imagine those plays. Go ahead, Chris.
So Halo's multiplayer, right? Almost every other multiplayer game I've ever seen has like a version of like a super or an alt or like a kill streak or some shit like that. Does Halo have anything like that in it? There's nothing. Oh, nope. Interesting.
It's just like
it's mostly gunplay.
Yeah, it's really just pure gunplay. Like basically, it's like Destiny if you took out the abilities and the supers and all that stuff. Like it's just core game like gunplay. I mean, there's power weapons, right? There's power weapons on the map that you like pick up, like rocket launchers. There are grenade launchers, but I wouldn't consider them power weapons per se. There's like a Spartan laser, which is a really high damage weapon. But yeah,
hammer, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really just all about gunplay. There's really no supers or that type of stuff.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
because I was even thinking about Titanfall. Like even your super technically in that game is calling your Titan. So it's like. Oh, okay. What is it in Halo? Because there's got to be something. Nothing. Nothing.
And
they better bring back the Halo 2 BR though, because that gun smacks.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what guns they have. I hope they just revamp the Halo, like, because they always had the Halo 2 BR and then the regular battle rifle, what they consider the regular battle rifle. I just want them to just merge that stuff and like.
True.
But yeah, we'll look to see what that looks like. But Chris, the other thing I was gonna say is like I think the bigger version of that in Halo is just the vehicle play, like being able to hop into a helicopter or something like that and like gun people down. What's it called? A Pelican, I think it's called in that game. I think the way the playing field is so level, it's just like a mad dash for all of the power weapons and the vehicles and all that stuff. Like that's what makes the difference. So the fact that everybody's on equal footing and anybody can get a chance to get that power weapon or anybody get a chance to get that vehicle.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that makes Halo so special. So,
definitely.
All right. Well, that's Halo. We'll look forward to seeing more about that over the summer. But speaking of summer, pivoting over to PlayStation side of things, there's a rumored event that's supposed to be happening at some point this summer. I mean, I guess it was almost inevitable that they would have some sort of a state of play or some sort of big showcase event since they weren't at E3. But I guess we're hearing a little bit of rumors, and definitely take this with a grain of salt here because we know absolutely nothing. But there are 3 big Sony rumors that have been kind of floating around this week. So, just kind of starting off at the top here. So we should be seeing a Ghost of Tsushima spinoff. Apparently it's going to be in a very similar vein to Spider-Man Miles Morales. There's a chance that we may see it at this rumored summer event. It could possibly drop this fall, I guess. I guess that could be like a good substitute because everybody's saying that, there's a good chance that Horizon Forbidden West won't drop this year. So I guess this could be like the placeholder for, Sony's big game for the fall. If we know anything about how Sony's going to set this up, even though it's a smaller game, I have no doubt that the studio at Sucker Punch is going to make a great experience, but it'll probably still be a $60 game. They'll probably make it cross, what's the word? Cross-gen, yeah. So there's rumors that it's still going to be a PS4 game, but also going to be on PS5. So, we'll see what that looks like. What do you guys think about this one? Chris, start off.
Yeah, I kind of, you took it out of my mouth, was the whole Miles Morales thing. That's the biggest comparison that I was going to give it. Because I didn't get the impression that it was like a whole ass, like, new experience. It kind of seemed like something that was going to very much still be within the same world of Ghost of Tsushima, just like a little side story. So, I think anything that they can put out that can be quick to kind of tie people over is good, because I feel like this whole games being pushed back thing has been something we've all been feeling across the board since like last year. So having good things in place to kind of let people feel like there's something at least there in the meantime is never going to be a bad thing. It sucks though, because like with this COVID stuff and how everything got pushed back, it's almost like you get a new date and then there's a good chance that new date also might get pushed back too. So it's kind of like, I don't know. And we haven't gotten really anything from a lot of the PlayStation games that we're waiting. Like, we're waiting on Horizon and God of War and the rest of the other ones. And Ratchet Clank, I would just assume that was in production from like way back ago for it to be like ready to have been released as recently as it was. But yeah, whatever they can put out right now that can kind of tie people over for sure, I'd say push it out fast. And hopefully it's something that could like get people at least a good 2-3 months out of, which kind of seems like what people were able to get out of Miles Morales. I feel like they seem like it didn't sound like a game people were going to be playing all year. Like I say that off rip, right. But it definitely sounded like people got a few months out of it. So, overall, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's definitely good. I think it would be also cool if they did more of this for that franchise alone, because it seems like there's a lot of rich lore and stuff in that franchise that they can kind of do this with. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing any way you look at it. I think we need more of it.
Yeah. But Manny, before you say anything, I didn't want to butcher the name beforehand, but I guess I'll try at this point. But apparently the game is going to be called Ghost of Ikushima.
I think it's Ikishima.
Ikishima? Sure. We'll go with that. You got it.
Ikishima.
But yeah, apparently it's just another island.
In between Japan and Tsushima.
There you go. Yep. And okay, Manny. Yeah, go ahead. You take it away, bro.
No, my bad.
No. I want to get your thoughts.
I was actually watching a video before we started this episode, and they were talking about, it's like, all right, this could be like that in-between game between Ghost of Tsushima and like, the one in Japan, whatever they name that one in the future, like that, which is like, very exciting to think about, because like, next gen PS5, goes, we just call it Ghost of Japan if they're going the same route of naming these islands. So like, it's very exciting, but then also at the same time, like, it's good and bad, because like it's good because if we get this Ikishima game later this year, like it'll be great, because Sony itself is not looking too good with what they have coming out. Like, yeah, they have Deathloop coming out, I believe, in September, but other than that, we don't know if Horizon's still going to be coming out, and like, that's pretty much it. Like, we don't know. Ragnarok and Horizon might be coming out 2022, which is not looking good for Sony itself as their first party games. But and then of course this Ikishima game being like a Miles Morales game, if they're charging like such a premium price, like $60, like you mentioned, then that's like, you know, I don't know how I feel about paying $60 for a game that I'm probably going to play like for 4 hours, like Miles Morales. Like Miles Morales, I beat that. I got the PS5 the same day, bought Miles Morales, and beat it within like 6 hours max. And that's it. Like I mean, I 100% of the game like within like a week because I had the time off. But then it's like, all right, the game's collecting dust now because that's all there was to it. So hopefully, like even though they do compare it to the Miles Morales kind of game, you know, maybe they throw an enhanced Ghost of Tsushima for PS5 with ray tracing and everything like that. But the only thing is, hopefully they don't charge like, you know, like they did with Miles Morales, like another fee for, oh, you want Spider-Man PS4 enhanced for PS5, or you got to buy the Miles Morales, you know, $70, which is stupid, honestly, in my opinion. I feel like, especially Tsushima coming out a couple months before PS5, I feel like it should be one of those games where if you bought the game on the PS4 and they enhance it for the PS5, because they've been, you know, hearing a lot of rumors about Tsushima being in a PS5 enhanced game, that it is like, you know, I guess you could say like smart delivery type of thing, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope that they're taking note of the smart delivery stuff and trying to do something like that with Ghost of Tsushima, because yeah, to your point, trying to make us shell another $70 for, you know, this spin-off plus like some enhanced version of the game feels kind of shitty, to be quite honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, and here's another thing is like, who knows at this point if Sony might not just charge $70 outright for this spin-off game, right? Like maybe it might have a little bit more than Miles Morales had. And the other thing about it too is like Miles Morales, there's a lot of how do I say this? Like it's more than just the fact that it was a game, like another game from Insomniac. There's a lot of love and like appreciation for Miles Morales in so many different ways, right? Like A, he's Spider-Man, B, he means a lot to, you know, like a particular community. Like Miles Morales is a pretty big deal. So being able to have that, they could get away with charging the $60 premium because people were going to buy it anyways. And with that being said, Ghost of Tsushima is a great game and it has a following, but I don't know if it's going to have that same hook as Miles Morales does. Like Miles Morales as a character can carry you to, you know, X amount of 5 million copies, 10 million copies, whatever it ended up being because of who he was, even though the game was only, you know, what, 4 hours long or whatever, even shorter than that. So I don't know if they can get away with that, but you know, obviously, if we know anything about Sony, they're gonna try. So I guess we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. I am looking forward to learning a little bit more about it because I did enjoy Ghost of Tsushima. I didn't get a chance to finish it yet. That's still one of the ones I'm working on.
Same,
but I do think it's a good game. It's got really good fighting mechanics. So I really like the story and the way all that stuff is set up. So if they could find a way to bridge that gap even further, you know, the game was already beautiful. And as Manny mentioned, if we get a ray tracing anything in that game, like it would take it over the top to be even more beautiful looking game. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more about it. I'm hoping that this rumored event is real because, you know, the next item on the docket is that we're supposed to see some God of War Ragnarok gameplay. And I know we've all been talking about that. So, you know, obviously that game's probably going to be a ways out. I'm sure it'll be like a fall 2020 game. 2022 game. Man, I wish it already came out, but yeah. What are you guys expecting from that? Do you think we're going to see it? Manny?
I mean, I would be surprised if we see it, especially knowing how far out it is. But then at the same time, it's like we saw Horizon Forbidden West, which we don't know how far along that is as well. So I'll be very excited to see it. I'm a big, huge God of War fan. You know, definitely excited to see, you know, what's going to happen next to the franchise. Hopefully we get some gameplay and maybe a release date. But I doubt we'll get a release date because, you know, with COVID and everything like that, everybody's still recovering. You don't want to give out like a set release date and then be that guy to like push it back multiple times, like Cyberpunk. So
I think everybody's traumatized, whether it's Cyberpunk or even just the fact that while it looks like we're on kind of the tail end of this pandemic, like we still don't fully know what's going to happen in the fall, right? Like we don't know. We don't know how well these vaccines are going to hold up. Obviously, right now it's looking good, but yeah, I think everybody's scared to give definitive release dates. As apparent as it has been with Halo Infinite in particular, right? Like they're just been saying holiday, and like they don't really want to give a date out. So, yeah. But yeah, Chris, what are you thinking about God of War?
Honestly, I kind of feel like we're gonna end up with like a Fable-esque type of teaser trailer, maybe, where they don't have to show too much, but just enough to kind of get people hooked a little bit. I feel like Horizon is way further along than whatever we're getting from God of War. That's just me.
For sure. Just
based on all the stuff that we've seen. We've seen actual gameplay. We've seen cutscene footage. It just feels like maybe they got to work on more things with Horizon. But I would argue if that came out this year, I wouldn't be that surprised. I would be surprised if we saw God of War this year. I do think they need to do at least the little teaser, because like the talking and all that stuff is cool, but you gotta at least show at least something to kind of hook it, at least until next year. So in my opinion, it would behoove them to really do that. If they don't do that, I think that's kind of like a bad marketing kind of thing. But with that being said, I'm gonna be real. I don't expect to see too much for God of War. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna curb my expectations. I think it's gonna be very minimal, whatever we do see, just because it doesn't come all across as though they got that much done with it yet. I mean, aside from what the title of the game is, we really don't know much about what's going on at all within it. I'm not saying I'm not confident within it, but I just don't think we're going to see a lot in this PlayStation event for God of War. I think they'll touch on it. They might show the teaser, and that's as much as we'll get. That's just me.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you largely. I don't think we'll get when you say the Fable-esque trailer. What I translated that to is a CG trailer. I actually don't think we're going to get a CG trailer, but I do think it'll be 5-minute thing of Kratos destroying somebody or something, and then it'll cut. Because while I think, all right, I'll put it to you like this, right? The very first PS5 game that we saw, if I remember correctly, was Ratchet and Clank, right? And yet that didn't come out until a good 6-7 months after the fact. So even though they showed it off and there was a lot for them to show, they really just kind of found a way to showcase a lot of the features of the PS5 with that game. I think a similar situation may happen with God of War. I think the game is still going to be far out, but I do think they would have a decent vertical slice of the game to kind of show off at least. So yeah, I think obviously Horizon is much further along because they were able to show off a good 15 minutes of it. And there's debate as to whether or not it's going to come out the end of this year or / early next year. They've already, with God of War, they've already said flat out, you're not getting that game until 2022. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it's a little bit more than the 5 minutes, but that's my expectation. That's where I'm kind of setting it, is 5-minute little gameplay tease. We get to see how pretty the game is, and Kratos doing some ridiculous thing as he always does. But yeah, I'm hoping that Sony really has more to show us, though. Even if it's not necessarily all games that'll drop in 2021, I'm just looking for something. Yeah.
It's just looking kind of bare bones over there.
Right.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I guess this kind of brings us to our other thing, the final thing we're talking about with this rumored event. I guess it's not even necessarily tied to this event, but there has been another rumor floating around about Insomniac and their next game being a multiplayer focused game. This actually comes more or less directly from Insomniac. The fact that they have a job posting looking for a game director, or is it a director actually? They're looking for somebody who is more focused on, creative director, system designer, story lead, art director. So the system designer, they specifically outlined as overseeing aspects of multiplayer features. So, they're over here talking about a multiplayer project. They're tweeting it out. Chances are this game's probably not going to be coming for another, 4 to 5 years if they're still hiring a creative director and a system designer.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is interesting to talk about, the fact that I don't think Insomniac's made a multiplayer focused game since Fuse. I don't know if any of you know what that game is, but Fuse is
No.
it's a relatively older game. I'd encourage you guys to look it up. It was definitely like a critical failure, like really bad reviews. Nobody bought it. I was working back at GameStop at the time. It was on PS3 and Xbox 360. It tanked, but it was a multiplayer shooter game that Insomniac made. I forget who they partnered with to make it, but regardless, it didn't go over very well for them. So I'm curious as to what the heck this will be. You know, like Insomniac makes beautiful games. They make really creative games as far as like a Sunset Overdrive and obviously Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank and so on. So this is news that they're making something multiplayer focused. Also, the fact that people always talk about Sony not really having many good multiplayer based games. Like they're kind of like the box that's focused on the single player games. So, you know, curious to get you guys' take on this one as well. Manny, I'll start off with you.
Man, well, you had to mention Sunset Overdrive, man. That game, I feel like that game was so good, but everybody just hated on it for no reason. But,
I agree.
you know, like imagine if Insomniac actually made maybe another Sunset Overdrive type of game for PlayStation, like this, like you know how like Sunset Overdrive at first was like this like a little post-apocalyptic, but this like the soda drink got everybody infected and everything like that. Yep. Like something like that. I remember I first looked at the teaser trailer from the original teaser trailer when they first showcased the Xbox One, and the game looked like it was supposed to be like some open world MMO type of thing because they had while the dude was climbing, jumping on walls and everything like that. Like this is one part we see like a bunch of like other players with their names above. So like that's what it kind of felt like at first, but obviously didn't turn out to be like that when the game came out. Yeah. So it could be something like that Insomniac would be working on, which would be dope because like I said, like Sunset Overdrive was such a good game and they had such great mechanics like the wall running and stuff like that. I see that stuff in Spider-Man. Every time I wall run in Spider-Man, I'm like, yo, that's from Sunset Overdrive.
Yep, absolutely.
So
right.
But so, if it, I would be excited if it's something like that for like a multiplayer Insomniac game because, I'm sure with the right pieces and everything like that, they can make a great game. Like we've seen Ratchet and Clank, Miles Morales and stuff like that, all great games. And, even if this multiplayer game is a co-op Spider-Man, I wouldn't be mad.
That would be something else. Miles Morales and Peter Parker swinging around together. That'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope. All right. Well, Chris, what about you, man? What do you think?
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of anticipating something that's like, how do I put this? So I guess I'm kind of getting vibes of like whatever we saw with Redfall, right? Because like Redfall to me, when I saw that trailer, was very colorful.
Yeah.
Very colorful, very creative, and very zany. And to me, that fits the Insomniac thing. That's why to me it was so weird that it was Bethesda making that, because it's like Bethesda doesn't make games like this, Yeah, that's kind of the vibes I'm getting from it. I'm getting more maybe Redfall mixed with some trying to think. There's another game that I could kind of see where they're getting stuff from, or even like how they do a Ratchet Clank. Like Ratchet Clank, they had not Ratchet Clank. I'm sorry, Overwatch. That's another game that I kind of like see being in the same vein. If they're gonna go after that multiplayer, because Overwatch to me has that wacky, character-driven, colorful, competitive gunplay kind of thing going on. I could see them also making something in that same vein, but I don't know. It just really kind of reminded me of the Redfall thing. Because not for nothing, I think that Redfall-esque type of game is going to have that type of game is going to get a run, if that makes any sense. I think Redfall is going to come out, and there's going to be several other games in that same ilk, and they're all going to kind of come out and be like kind of competing for the top co-op game, I guess you could say. But yeah.
So like a hero type of shooter?
Yeah, I think that's a lane that's gonna fully be exploited in the next like year or two for sure. Because people are kind of crying for that stuff, and I think we've been saying we want more stuff like that for real for forever. I think this is It's at the very least, it's going to be a colorful, beautiful, very fun driven kind of game.
Okay.
That's the very most I could say about it, just based on what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Yeah.
I love that both of you mentioned elements of things that I was going to talk about. So definitely have to say great minds think alike, because Chris, you talked about Redfall, and that was pretty much what popped into my mind when I saw this, because I feel like Arcane Leon, I'm not even going to Arcane in general, because they have two different studios. I feel like Arcane eventually, with the backing of Microsoft, will get to the level of Insomniac and like all like the critical acclaim that there is with that game. I think what we're seeing from Deathloop looks absolutely nutty and amazing and wacky and, you know, very creative, a la the things that we see from Insomniac.
Yeah.
And this Redfall thing seems to fall in that same line. So when Manny mentioned the whole Sunset Overdrive thing, in my head, I'm like, who the hell owns the rights to that? Because if it's Microsoft and I'm Phil Spencer, I'm getting Arcane Leon or the other part of the studio to make me another Sunset Overdrive game if they wanted to. Like I would throw the idea out there, because if we own the IP, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. But if Insomniac owns the IP, I'm pretty sure this is probably a sequel to Sunset Overdrive that we're talking about right now, because the game itself had co-op elements. I'm pretty sure it was a 4-player co-op game. Again, highly underrated game, criminally slept on, because people talked about Microsoft not having any exclusives at the time. That was easily one of their best exclusives, and nobody fucked with it. Nobody. So it was kind of like, you guys are clamoring for all these creative and zany and different exclusives, and they give it to you, and y'all don't buy it. Like, we have to support these types of things, man. That game is amazing. I know I could still load that game up right now and still have fun with it. For being like, what, 6-7 years old at this point?
Yeah, it came out 2015.
Oh, yeah. Super old. So, yeah.
And like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and like, this shows that if Game Pass was a thing back then, I'm sure that game would be so much better, and that game probably would have a sequel right now. Absolutely. And it sucks because like, and this is like the same thing with Sony's dealing with, like with Days Gone, where it's like, no, they didn't like get their expectations, so we're not getting a sequel for Days Gone because of that. Like, Days Gone has their following. There's a lot of people that love the game, but it just sucks that now they're not gonna have that sequel because sales. And well, it's like Game Pass. Like, if they had Game Pass back then, like I said, Sunset Overdrive probably be a thing.
Manny, we made it through like almost an hour without talking about Game Pass, and you had to slide it in there, man, huh?
It's the Game Pass show. It's the Game Pass show.
We can't help it.
You can't not talk about Game Pass. It's too good. There's like an ongoing thing on Twitter right now because people are mad that.
You seen Dustin's video?
I didn't.
You didn't watch it. It's funny. But
I've been watching like what's going on Twitter, and people are just mad at other people for talking about Game Pass. Like they're like, oh, Microsoft's paying all these creators to talk about Game Pass. Like if they're paying us, I'm still waiting for my check.
Shit, where that check at,
for my check.
Where's mine?
For real. I mean,
the Game Pass show. We're gonna change from the Xbox to the Game Pass.
Why not? Why not? We talk about Game Pass all day.
Show. Oh god, we'll probably get sued.
Oh no, they go sue us. That's free. That's free press for that.
Phil Spencer would want us, and he'd be like, "Yo, can I be in the show?"
Yeah.
Yo, we'd have to make an extra box for Phil.
Oh, you're making that box so quick.
You can take my box.
I'll take my box, Phil.
You want to come on the show, man? Please. Oh, that'd be amazing.
I'll narrate. I don't need it, Phil. This is for you. Here you go. Here you go.
Oh man.
You want me to take my logo out? I'll take it out. I don't need it. Go ahead.
But yo, Manny, you make such a good point about that Sunset Overdrive stuff, right? Like that type of game, taking creative risk like that, it's perfect for Game Pass. Like that stuff, you get such a bigger audience. Like nobody would have had to worry about, will we sell that many copies? Like people would try the game because if they had Game Pass, it would essentially be free, and they would discover what I know about it and what Manny you know about it was that it was a great game, and people just didn't play it enough. But Yeah, I'm sure we'll be getting a lot more games like that going forward. Like I said, with Bethesda and all the different things that we're going to be seeing, I'm pretty confident that we're going to be hearing a lot more about Arcane making really cool and interesting games, you know, within the next decade and beyond. I think they're going to be a really AAA studio, so I'm excited to see what they have going on. But I think that's all we got time for today. So before we head out, as we always do, Manny, where can the people find you?
You already know, twitch.tv/GoodMasterFlex, Instagram, Twitter, GoodMasterFlex_TTV, and of course on TikTok, No Context Gamer.
No Context Gaming. All right. Chris, what about you, bro? Where people pen pal?
You already know, motherfuckers. MAY25THXX. On everything, including Gmail. That's where you pen pal me. Yeah, and TikTok. That too. All that shit.
Can't forget the TikTok. All right, boys. Well, for me, it's Black Ice 8. Pretty much everywhere. Xbox, Twitter, twitch.tv/Black Ice 8. Find me on PSN as well. The only difference for the social media stuff is on Instagram and TikTok. It's Black Ice 8_gaming. I'm gonna try to get some streams up this week. I don't know about you guys, but
I'm disliking, so I agree.
I feel like it's been a while, so you might see me up on the Twitch channel, getting some streams up for sure. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. Peace.
Oh yeah.